Obesity Through Life by Victoria Blanco. The Reflection in the Mirror. My position statement. How does childhood obesity affect adults in adulthood? As you can see here, we have some images of people who are clearly a little bit overweight. As you can see, the doctor here is measuring this person's stomach, and you can see these people are exercising to try and work off some of the excess weight that they have. Why I chose this topic and position. For starters, obesity, when I was given the choice to choose the topic that I wanted to learn about more, obesity just immediately jumped at me because it is such a big problem in the United States, and it seems to be growing more and more as time goes on. And I think that people are uneducated on obesity, as they think that they know a lot about it, and I think they just know the surface. So one of the main reasons I chose this topic was because someone very close to me, my mother, has faced obesity her whole life. So this project allowed me to further understand her as well as others in her community and the community around me. And I really wanted to know how obesity as a child affects the life in adulthood. How does your eating habits affect you as an adult if you continue on with the habits that you keep doing? My research. So one of the main researchers that I found was Tish Davidson. She is a researcher and a psychologist for children as well as a nutritionist, and she found in her studies that children are currently taking in almost 200 more calories per day than they were 10 years ago. That is a drastic number, which may seem small, but if you really think about it, if it's increasing as time goes on, it's just going to become a bigger number. So if we learn how to stop it now, we can stop it before it gets to 300, 400, or 500 for these children who are indulging in way too many extra calories. She also discovered that teenagers are taking in an extra 700 to 1,000 calories every day, resulting in an average of 58 extra pounds per year. That is an astronomical amount of pounds that they should not be having. As teenagers, I understand we like to, enjoy. We say we're young, it's okay. But if you have that mentality as a teenager and you don't know how to have healthy eating habits, you're not going to know how to have healthy eating habits as an adult, and that is crucial for you to understand. And researcher Megan Porter also discovered the ratio link with weight gain and obesity, and actually less than 10% of childhood obesity is associated with genetics or hormones, which means the remaining 90% are caused by lifestyle and dietary factors. What I learned through this research, about 18.5% of children aged 2 to 19 are considered obese and are at risk for long-term lasting health problems. And to me, I think that is too big of a percentage. Of course, I would wish it to be zero, but there is definitely room for that number to come down. Another thing, health officials state that a child who is overweight in their adolescent years will continue to be overweight in their adulthood, which can have drastic effects on their health. And obesity in children and adults. Of course, we may think we know what obesity is or looks like based on TV or just our own knowledge that we've picked up living life. But obesity is defined as a medical condition that occurs when a person carries excess weight or body fat that might affect their health. A doctor will usually suggest that a person who has obesity if they have a high body mass index, commonly known as a BMI. And I'm sure, like I said, you guys have your own perception, but health officials classify someone obese when they look like they have excess skin hanging off, as well as fat hanging from the body. They also might be larger than others when in a crowd, or again, having larger BMI than that, I mean normal. And I hate to say the word normal, but someone who is smaller than that person. My plan for this project. So I've given myself a time frame of 5 days to complete this project. I want to create a meal plan for my mom and dad, mainly my mom, but I included my dad so she wouldn't be going through this alone. So I was going to create a 5-day dinner meal plan for both my parents, and the meal plan was created for both of them to see, so they could see and had all the components of the meal written out, and I wanted to document this through pictures and videos, and I was going to ask them 3 questions every night on the meal. 1, rate the meal on a scale of 1 to 5. 2, why did you give it this rating? And 3, would you use this meal as a replacement to your typical meal? So here is our meal plan. Day 1, I found a steamed lobster recipe and pan-seared fresh shrimp served with asparagus. Day 2 was gluten-free pasta with all natural sugar-free tomato sauce, topped with vegan cheese. Day 3 was grilled flank steak with simple marinade with no added sugars or salts, served with homemade roasted rosemary potatoes. Day 4, grilled shrimp with garlic, served with roasted cauliflower. And day 5 is oven roasted chicken, served with sauteed asparagus. So here's how it all went. Day 1, the steamed lobster, shrimp, and asparagus. Overall consensus, it was good, but Mom would prefer if there was butter, but the reason I didn't allow it was because it was an excess fat that was not necessary, and I was trying to get her to stray away from depending on unhealthy additives to make food taste better, but this was a meal that they would eat again and prefer it, even though they are used to fried lobster when we go to a restaurant, and so I was like, nope, we're not doing that today. Sorry. And as you can see in these pictures, here I have the shrimp cooking in some garlic. I have our sauteed asparagus, and right here you can see the lobster tail that was cooked in our Instapot. Day 2 was the gluten-free pasta with vegan cheese. They were not a fan of the pasta. I tried to make this an alternative meal that they could enjoy instead of a regular full carb pasta with faked bottled Parmesan that they would just top on it like a mountain. They were not fans of the vegan cheese. They thought it had a weird aftertaste and thought the sauce was weird. I did know this meal might have been a stretch for someone who was just beginning to change their diet habits, but I did want to give it a try. All in all, low rating and would not eat again. Day 3 was the flank steak with roasted potatoes. This was definitely a favorite of the week. They loved the steak even though it was not doused in barbecue sauce, which is full of sugar, which is how they typically do it. So I was very happy and surprised. They definitely will be eating this again and love the roasted potatoes. These potatoes were an alternative to the box mashed potatoes that they like, which are full of sodium, butter, and preservatives, which are all so bad for you. All in all, high rating, 5 out of 5. And would definitely eat again. And as you can see in these pictures, I have the roasted potatoes before they went in the oven. They just had a little bit of rosemary on them and a tiny bit of paprika. And the steak, just a tiny bit of salt and a little bit of honey. I want to say about a teaspoon, and it worked out really well. I was very surprised. Day 4 was the grilled shrimp with roasted cauliflower. As you can see in this picture right here, I have the roasted cauliflower and then I have the shrimp on this plate. The grilled shrimp and roasted cauliflower, it was kind of weird. They are used to frozen coconut shrimp that they would fry up, and of course I would not allow that. So they were a little disappointed, but their moods turned once tasting the shrimp. They were very surprised that it could taste that good with no butter or oils. And the cauliflower was a substitution to frozen bagged vegetables that are topped with butter, which basically conflicts with the idea of vegetables if you're just going to top it with butter. But they did like it, but I think they wished it had a little more flavor. They would eat it again, but they said that they would try with more seasonings. And as you can see, my mom gave it a 4, my dad said a 4.6. So, and she said it could use more flavor, it could be more crispy. My dad said he's just not really a fan of cauliflower, but it was okay. Our last meal was the roasted oven chicken with asparagus. It was a hit, although they wished there was another starch or side served with dinner, but I didn't want to overload the plate with carbs and starch for them. I wanted them to focus on the vegetable and protein for this meal, but the chicken itself was a 5 out of 5 for them, so that made me very happy. And as you can see here, the chicken has a little bit of rosemary, paprika, and I believe a little oregano, and then the asparagus was just cooked on the pan, I want to say like 5 minutes, maybe like half a teaspoon of salt so it doesn't taste straight like asparagus, but no butter, no oils, no fried, not wrapped in bacon, because again, that just like, there's no point of eating a vegetable if you're just going to cover it in a fat. And they both said it was a 5, so that was a plus. Overall thoughts from my mom. She said, I felt that I needed this and that while I missed some of my normal meals, I found some that I liked and can learn to incorporate healthier alternatives in my diet. Thank you for showing me that I needed to be healthier and giving me the stepping stone I needed. My dad said, I have said this before and I'll say it again. You are a great cook. We need to make you make dinners more often. Thank you for cooking us our healthy meals. So although the meal plan went well and I do think it could have gone better, I had some difficulties. I had technical, emotional, and physical difficulties throughout the week. I actually originally planned to do a video documentary instead of the pictures I did, but as I went to edit, the videos were gone and I could not recover them. So after I shed a couple tears, I picked myself up and I had all the pictures of every meal and I had written down what my parents stated on paper and typed it up. So luckily I had their statements, so I was able to make a more like a picture documentary. This was emotionally difficult because I was very self-conscious about my cooking and abilities, so I had to overcome that. And this was physically difficult because I had to learn how to use a grill. I'd never grilled before, so I had to watch lots of YouTube tutorials, but I figured it out, and my dad, of course, showed me how to do, at least how to turn it on. What I took away from all of this, um, there was a lot that I took away. The main takeaway was that I was able to show my mom healthier alternatives to her habits, as well as that obesity is a very serious thing and can have very serious um, effects such as like cardiac arrest. You could have high cholesterol. You could be diabetic. My mom is pre-diabetic right now, and so that was one of the reasons why I was like, you need to change your eating habits. So because of this project, she's now starting a 30-day diet on May 1st. She's been Pinteresting all these healthy meals, so I'm very excited for her. And I'm proud of her that she's getting started on this. So I'm actually very excited that I was able to do this and that I actually will be joining her on her journey of healthy eating. And I also have some recommendations. I recommend starting a meal plan to anyone, individuals, couples, families, you name it. I also recommend taking a look in the pantry and looking at your food labels as well as portions. The types of food you consume as well as amounts play a big role in weight control. Like I said, obesity is stoppable. I'm not saying it's curable, but it's definitely a lot of you play a big factor. Your food plays a huge factor in your weight. So I think if we indulge more conscientiously and are aware of what we're putting in our bodies, you can enjoy a little bit, but let's stay away from all the high fats and carby starch foods. And with that, here are my references, and thank you so much.